Welcome to Earth Changes Radio, Episode 7. We are a manufactured society. From birth to death, we are manipulated, both overtly and covertly. And now, the two hosts that have been voted the biggest pain in the ass by the CIA, here they are, Rick Chicago and Steve Johnson on the Terraforming Earth Radio Network.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Carol. Appreciate it. Welcome to the show, friends, foes, and assorted others. This is the Earth Changes radio program, and I have no idea where my show notes are. But welcome. Great to have you here. I'd like to say hello. This is something we don't usually do, but I'd like to say hello to the people in the chat room tonight in our virtual auditorium at paltalk.com. paltalk.com. It's free. It's easy. Just pick yourself a sign name. Find us in the government section in the Ancient Observatory or on Tuesday night, every Tuesday night when we do the Earth Changes radio program in the Earth Changes radio program auditorium. With our chat audience, we have Mindy's mom on duty tonight as an admin, Butta Fox. MW is here. Our good friend Susan. Texamundo is here. Orangutan is here. Ellie Survivor, hello. Hi, CJ. Rose is here. Love is Light, another one of our admins on duty. Yami is here tonight. Ruby Today on duty. Little John also on duty. Bio is here. Ghost, Vectorman, and Patches. So if you're listening to this on an audio or watching the video on YouTube, you too can be part of our live program every Tuesday night on Paltalk. And tonight we have kind of a program that might get us in trouble, so we're going to have to go with our disclaimer once again here, Steve. If you're suffering from mental illness and or depression, please be advised. Well, the only thing we can advise is that you can slap a little bit of water on your face and find a comfortable chair, because tonight's information could be considered disturbing by very many people, like the Democratic Party, the Independent Party, the media, and so on. Hi, Steve.
You know, Mr. Rick, after our last audio that we had, our last radio show, episode 6 last week with the Southwest Backpacker Matt, I had a call from the CIA that actually called me up and said, Steve, tone it down a bit. You're flaring up our hemorrhoids. But I was like, well, you know, you need to grow a pair. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're taking on the CIA, fuckers. No, they didn't really call me. But if they could, if they would, if they had the balls to call me, I'm sure that's exactly what we would hear from the agencies, the alphabet agencies, that have got nothing better to do than sit on their ass and listen to people talk online. I mean, gosh, really? Isn't that what they pay, like, trolls to do? Isn't that what they're doing? They're paid trolls? Well, in fact, today's show is episode 7. We're talking about we are a programmed and manufactured society from the minute we're born to the minute we grow up to the moment that we die. We are programmed, we are manufactured, we are set in our ways to certain programming standards that they are doing to us. And they're doing it subtly, covertly, and overtly. A lot of the stuff the programming, it seems to sink in with a lot of people, and a lot of people do get programmed by the things that they see and the things that they hear and the things that they learn about. But some people, that's not susceptible to them. Some people, this programming doesn't work on them, and it is great to see that everyone who I've come into contact with through the years in the Earth Changes radio show, in the Ancient Observatory room, most of the people I have come across, in fact, nearly all of them, have been awakened people who have been onto it, who know what time it is, know what day it is, and they too themselves are a hemorrhoid on the ass of the CIA, and I salute that. I salute those people who stand up against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to make sure that their hemorrhoids flare up every time that they sit down on their ass to do more trolling. Don't you agree with that, Mr. Earthplay?
Okay, I'll go with that, Steve. Okay, you and I are probably the most deplorable and unredeemables online. Yeah, we were getting an echo there. Steve and I are probably two of the most deplorable and unredeemables online, as defined by the media and by our politicians. But I want to make a tie between these 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 letter agencies and the media. And I run into this phenomena all over the internet, and especially on Pal Talk where we are. So we have kind of a protected structure here in our chat auditorium. But it seems like we're drowning in a sea of information. But the truth of the matter is we're starved for any kind of real knowledge. And that's kind of the programming here. The lies are kind of a betrayal of the people. It's and a healthy distrust of the media, I think, is essential, because most people believe that the most dangerous weapon is a gun. I would tell you that it's a media that is controlled by the government, that is owned by just a handful of individuals that are no longer news and reporting agencies, but entertainment media groups. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was the lack of coverage of positive things that are going on with Donald Trump, the lack of coverage of the revelations of Susan Rice and the Obama administration, who were spying on the Trump administration and releasing transcripts of their phone conversations. So, Nephilim, that's my pet peeve for today. Is I want to go for the false news and the fake media and some of the things that they're saying about us, and being deplorables and unredeemables. And people tune in again the very next night.
Well, these stooges can call us all the names in the book. It's not going to help their case one little bit, one little dandy little bit. But one thing I can tell you, it's not just the news that they say, or the news that they tell us, the misinformation that they give us. Quite often, it is the information that they don't give us, that they hold back on information. Just recently there was a president of a major country arrested for corruption. Get this, for having her own group, for having her own little charity set up that companies could donate to, her own foundation that companies could donate to in order to get policies and to get favorable government policies for these companies. And have a guess which country that was. I bet nobody knows. A couple of days ago, there was a president of a major country arrested for corruption, for taking bribes and for major scandals, for being involved in the occult. And have a guess who that was. Have a guess which country that was. Anybody got any idea which country, which president of which country got arrested a couple of days ago? Any idea? Earthplay?
I'm going to say not USA. Australia.
No, it was in fact South Korea. The South Korean president got arrested for corruption, major corruption, for setting up her own charitable organization. And yeah, how come I never heard about this? How come this was not in the major news media? Because it's too close to the bone for stooges like Hillary Clinton having their own charity, having companies donate to that charity, and having favorable policies for those companies. That is pretty major. I have not seen anything in the Australian news, in American news, in the Western news at all about this, about the South Korean president being arrested. And apparently there were 2 million people all take to the streets and start marching in protest against this when they found out. It's surprising. You get the same thing happening in America. You can barely find 200 people to go to a march for the Pizzagate stuff. Is this the kind of programming? Is this the manufacturing that we're talking about, Earthplay, when we say we are a manufactured and structured society? Because it seems to me that we Americans and Australians, we're the walking dead.
Yeah, well, I have to agree with you, Steve. One of my peeves is the Constitution-free zones in America, which is also being reinforced through the media. And I'm going to have to make a correction here, because I have told people recently that the Constitution-free zones extend 200 miles in from any continental border of the United States of America, and I seem to be incorrect. From all the information I've been able to find, it's only 100 miles, but some cities have extensions. These Constitution-free zones in America establish a 100-mile border zone were adopted by the U.S. Department of Justice in 1953 without any public comment or debate. And at the time, they had fewer than 1,100 Border Patrol agents nationwide. Today, they have over 2,100. Now, the DHS, that's the Department of Homeland Security, says that it's not a conspiracy and it's not a fraud, that the DHS has literally created an imaginary border within the United States that engulfs 100 miles of every single end of the nation. Within this fabricated border, the DHS can search your electronic belongings for no reason. We're talking about no suspicion, no reasonable cause, nothing. No reason whatsoever is required under their own regulations. The DHS is now above the Constitution under their own rules. It's atrocious. I could go on and on and on about this, Steve. Let me tell you some of the other things here. That here during the New Year's, just before Donald Trump was to take office on January the 20th, while everyone was celebrating, a U.S. federal judge reaffirmed the Obama administration policy granting officials the authority to search Americans' laptops, citing in a controversial premise that makes citizens within 100 miles of the border eligible for police checks. And the media, for whatever reason, does not find any fault or any problem with having Constitution-free zones in America. That essentially means your Fourth Amendment right is suspended. Your right to travel freely and be secure in your persons and in your papers is nullified in a Constitution-free zone. And what is to keep them from suspending your First and Second Amendment rights? Absolutely nothing. Go ahead, Steve. I'll turn it back to you for a moment.
Well, you know, Mr. Earthplay, every show that we do, I usually get about 20 to 30 emails from people who listened in, people who tuned in, and of course people with new stories and who want to update the stories that we talk about. The stories that we had last week were fascinating, but the week before, we actually had an email from a Mike Chertoff from the Chertoff group of companies, and he wrote to me basically warning me not to talk about Constitution-free zones anymore. Apparently it's quite a controversial topic. And Mike actually asked me not to mention Department of Homeland Security online or on air. So I'm sorry, I just did. That's too bad, Mike. Stiff shit. We're going to look into Department of Homeland Security, exactly who they are, what they're up to, and who Michael Chertoff and his group of companies, how they make their money. Zapping people with their zap fucking rays, with their x-rays in airport scanners and stuff like that. Well, this needs to be talked about more. Not many people are talking about how these big companies like Kellogg Brown Root and Halliburton got all of these contracts for the war on terror, and how the same people who made the policies to put these things in our airports made the money from all of this stuff. It really is one of the biggest scams, one of the biggest criminal organizations, and one of the biggest criminal actions that I've seen in modern history, and yet nothing is being done about it. South Korean police, they've got the balls to stand up to their own president, to stand up to their own people in power, and say, hey, if you're going to do crime, you do the time. How about that in America? How about we see the Clinton crime family, the Bush crime family, all taken down? I would love to see that. But I think we're just holding our breath, because these people are part of the same scam that keep people programmed, that keep people as a manufactured part of society. And I think that they're too important for the scheme, in the big scheme of things, because these are one of the families that have allowed this to happen to the people of Earth. And when I say the people of Earth, I don't think they're part of that family of people around the world. These people have made their choice to go against the people of the Earth and to rape and pillage the Earth for everything they can get. And that, to me, seems to be what's happening at the moment. The Earth is being pillaged. All the resources are being stolen, being taken, being ripped off by the big corporations, and nothing's being done to call them in, to stop them. Except for people like yourself, Earthplay. Dane Wigington is getting out there and putting the message out. Professor James McCanney. There's a lot of people who are calling out the warnings about what's happening. Are there any more people that you'd like to put a call out to actually who are saving the world or trying to save the world by getting the message across, Mr. Earthplay?
I'm not with you about peeping in under the skirts of some of these agencies. I'm just too moral of a person to want to do that. But I will step back and watch what falls out of that skirt when you lift it up there, Steve. You have a little more cojones than I do. Some of the people, I think that Paul Beckwith, is somebody who stands out to me for being an outstanding voice for humanity, who is talking about things that are tangible, like the methane and the blue ice events in the Arctic, and other feedback loops that are going on. His reporting of the jet stream, and, you know, we have been talking about this wave of energy that came in from space starting around December 26th, and we were following that story quite closely for a long time, and it kind of faded away until in early January when all these reports of background gamma radiation across America was rising, and I don't know about other countries, and the acknowledgement of a depleted ozone and from gamma rays reaching us from deep space. Well, Paul Beckwith is talking about now how these amplitude waves are moving past the Earth's magnetic field, and creating what he calls resonant frequencies in our auroras and in our jet streams, which is far inside the magnetic field and interacting with the Earth's environment. So Paul Beckwith, kudos to Paul, because he's the only person that I know in academia who works in an observatory, a college, or a university who is willing to speak up. So, you know, he's probably on the verge of losing his job here. I don't know. Dane Wigington, can't say enough about the guy. Every Saturday morning, 6 a.m., new Global Alert News, Libby Halevi, another well-outspoken crusader for true media, who reports on the nuclear industry and all the nuclear accidents occurring worldwide, and all the toxicities around the planet, which is ongoing. This is not something that happened in 1987 in Chernobyl, 2011 in Fukushima. It's every single day, Steve. So these are some of the people that I really look up to for true and real media reporting.
It's very, very interesting. You mentioned that there is space weather affecting our inner Earth's atmosphere inside the actual magnetosphere, inside the bands of radiation around our Earth. This week, in fact, they found that supersonic plasma jets have been detected in the Earth's atmosphere. That is in the zone. That is affecting our atmosphere. And they've just noticed this for the first time. Supersonic plasma jets that are 10,000 degrees in temperature. Imagine what would happen if that actually came down to the Earth. That would be a hellstorm and then some more. Is this the kind of thing that they're warning about? That the major governments have been freaking out about Earth play? Because this seems to be coming closer and closer to Earth, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, what if a plane goes through it? What kind of plasma jets are these that are super hot to 10,000 degrees? This is crazy stuff. But is this happening now, or has this always been happening, or are we only just noticing it? That's what I would like to know.
I don't even have an answer for you on that one, Steve, because I don't know. Maybe it is better technology and more scientists, and we're able to see further into the spectrums of light. But something like these plasma jets, I mean, I think what they're talking about here are the equatorial sprites, which is like an aurora. There are a lot of phenomena going on in our skies right now, and our government and our military is probably responsible for a great portion of it, because we were just informed last Saturday that the U.S. government now wants to proceed with geoengineering programs on a test basis, to test them out and to see what the viability would be. I think that's just a code word for we've been doing this all along, and this is our way of disclosing it to you, which is another topic very close to my mind, is disclosure. Any disclosure, a disclosure event of aliens, of UFOs, of high technology, of flying aircraft, of military and government, or even corporations, and why any disclosure on any of these topics would be the most traumatic event in the history of civilization. Not that we would discover UFOs or aliens or higher technologies, but we would discover the crimes against humanity and the links that our government and our military would go to keep their secrets in covering up disclosures. So I think that the criminality would be worse than the disclosure itself, and governments would literally fall. That's why I don't think, Steve, that we're going to see any kind of truthful reporting in media or any kind of disclosure event on any of these topics, and for those reasons.
Well, if ever they did tell us the truth about anything, Mr. Earthplay, I'm sure the whole deck of cards would come down. It is a house of cards that is being propped up by the criminals underneath them. It is a hierarchy where the top echelon never even get to have their face on the media. That's the way it all works. It is compartmentalized to the point of need to know, and most people don't ever need to know. They don't need to know anything. And that's the way the government works things. There's another story coming out just recently about a Queensland government council that wants to start bugging their wheelie bins, their garbage bins, so they can check what people have been throwing out. So they can check whether or not they've recycled their recycled goods, how much goods they're throwing out. So their wheelie bins are going to be RFID microchipped. Now, how do people not see this as this is not a good idea? To have all this shit bugged, to have your garbage bin bugged, to have an internet connected to your fridge, an internet connected to your toaster or your microwave. I think Stephen Colbert needs to put his head back in the microwave, because those things, if they're connected to the internet, they definitely are being bugged. And now they want to bug garbage bins. Yeah, exactly right what Butterfox says. Isn't our mobile phones enough? Isn't it bad enough that our computers and our TVs and everything is accessible to such a point that they can remotely turn on these microphones? To me, this is disturbing. This is another way to bug us and to get in our information, to get our personal information, and they just don't have a right to it. But they're doing it anyway. As far as I can see, these governments and these councils, they're part of the corruption. They're criminally liable for all the things that are happening to people today, and especially vaccines. Don't get me started on vaccines. This is really, really bugging me that they're forcing people. They're basically forcing by legislation to inject your kids against your wishes. If you don't want to have them injected, that's going to be pretty soon. It's going to be too bad. They're going to force these needles onto kids, whether you like it or not. What kind of world is that we're creating? That to me seems like it's Nazi Germany, 1934 or 35, maybe even 1941. But to me, it's disturbing, Earthplay, that this could go on and nobody's kicking up a stink. Nobody's saying, hey, shit, what's going on? Why aren't we looking at this? This is a problem, especially the bugging of garbage bins. Isn't that a worry to people? It worries me. How about yourself?
Well, I don't know, Steve, when it comes to my garbage bin, because I know they already do that. Here, I live near Albuquerque, New Mexico, and if you're on the city municipal system, they give you a blue and a black container. The black one is for trash, the blue one is for recyclables. And they do have microwave chips or micro tags in the bins, because the truck pulls up and it recognizes the can. Then the driver knows when to stop. He doesn't have to be hanging out the side of the truck. It just goes beep, there it is, and the arms grab it. And now they do have a video camera up there so that they can match that tag with the video. So if you're throwing away things like televisions and computers, they can fine you for that. I think that's just the way that technology in the future is developing. But again, you're absolutely right. And it's these federal judges that were installed by what we're calling the deep government that have lifetime appointments to these courts, not just the Supreme Court, all the courts, federal courts across the United States. And right now they're filled up with Clinton and Obama appointees. And these federal judges are reaffirming these policies, granting the officials the authority to search Americans, their computers or their laptops, their cell phones and other devices, any electronics that you have on your person or in your possession or in your vehicle. They don't need to accuse you of a crime. They don't have to suspect you of anything. They don't have to tell you anything except that you have the right to remain silent. And if you protest, you're going to jail. So no, I don't like the direction that is moving by any sense.
Well, I would like to protest it right now, before it gets too bad, before it gets any worse than it is. I would like to protest against our rights being taken away, our privacy being taken away, our right to being treated innocent before proven guilty. Now that's one thing that nobody talks about, that you have a basic human fucking right to be treated innocent, to be treated as innocent, until proven guilty by a jury of your peers. But that doesn't seem to happen. As soon as you're targeted by somebody who doesn't like you, oh, I don't like you, boy. I don't care. You ain't done nothing. We'll find something that you done. That's it. It's called a vendetta. When they start on a vendetta against people or against particular people, that is criminality. That is a criminal action, but it's not being stopped. It's being allowed to continue, and it's part of the corruption. It's part of the endemic corruption that we all face as people. And not just people in the cities or in societies or in the suburbs, but all people all around the world have their own issues with governments doing this. I certainly do with the Western governments. A lot of them have been infiltrated by the secret systems. I'm talking, of course, about Operation Talpiot. And this is not something people talk about a lot. It is the total immersity of infiltration by Israeli systems into Stuxnet, for example. The computer virus done by Israel against the Iranian nuclear power plant. That was an Israeli software. That they are so endemic, they are so infiltrated into every system, be it communications, be it finance, be it marketing or commercial, anything, you name it. They've got their finger in every pie, especially in the military and especially in the intelligence sector. This, to me, is disturbing to a point that we have so much Israeli infiltration all around the world, and it's not being talked about. Nobody gives a damn about it. We think we've got big problems. Well, we haven't seen the big problems when they start turning off our global network systems, when they start turning off our power systems, our water systems, every single system that they've got links to. These people now have their fingers on every single button, switch, you name it, that they can think of to turn things on, turn things off, or to make your life a complete fucking misery. Israel has that power. They have the power to blackmail governments. They have the power to blackmail countries. They have the power to actually hold countries hostage and hold them to ransom. And I believe that's what's happening. That is what's happening today, and that's what's happening on the earth. You are listening to Earth Changes Radio, Episode 7. We are the programmed and structured. We are the manufactured society. You're listening to Earth Changes Radio Show with Rick and Steve.
Hi, this is Hillary Clinton, and you're listening to TrumpRighteousNation.com.
Hi, I'm Rachel Hunter, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on the Terraforming Earth Network.
Rachel Hunter? Oh, hell no. Rachel Hunter?
Hello, my name is Michael Kane, and you are listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com.
Hi, I'm Susan, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio.
Hello, I am Inga from Sweden, and I am listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com.
Hi, I'm John Lennon, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com.
Hi, my name is Edie Amin, and you're listening to the Flat Earth Society from the sphere of the universe. I gotta get to bed. I gotta fucking get up for work early, and I had a hockey game to end all hockey games tonight, so we'll check you out soon, man.
Hi, I'm Nicole Kinnan, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on the Terraforming Earth Network. Welcome.
With over 150 million registered users, Paltalk is the largest online chat community in the world. With over 300 Paltalk support staff speaking dozens of languages to help you enjoy your online experience. Meet new people across town, country, or continent while chatting about your interests. Sing live karaoke, listen to music, Join a lively political debate or play group trivia in one of thousands of chat rooms in various categories from your PC, your tablet, or mobile device. Joining Pal Talk is free and easy. Go to paltalk.com and become part of our friendly community today.
Hi, I'm Michelle, and you're listening to... Oh, I forgot what it was, because it's me.
Hi, I'm Ruby, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on paltalk.com with Rick and Steve.
My name is MW, and I have found peace from horse shit.
I'm glad somebody has found peace, at least through this TV program, through this radio show, or at least through horseshit himself. I mean, you can find peace through many, many different things, many different ways. We all have our own path towards finding the inevitable, finding ourselves, and finding out what our role is in this world. But God bless MW, God bless Butter, God bless Miss Love is Light, and of course Suicide Blonde, Ruby Today, all the admins that are helping out in the chat room today, Little John, Orangutan, Mindy's mom. We've got them all here. We've got Ben, the whole gang's here, and we'd love to invite you down to paltalk.com. In the social issues section, check out Earth Changes Radio Show or the Ancient Observatory online. All you do is register a chat nickname, sign in, and that's as easy as it is. But you know, there's one thing that never changes, and that is the corruption in this world. It seems to be getting more and more and more. And the more we learn about it, the more we find out about it, the more is uncovered. The snowball effect of an avalanche of corruption is still continuing on because nothing seems to stop it. The powers that be, the police forces, and the criminal organizations that run the police forces all seem to be getting away with it to the point of, well, you just try and stop us, boy. And that they seem to be getting away with it for now. What do you think, Earthplay? Do you think there is a chance that this year we're going to see some high-profile arrests? I hope so.
I would love to see that, but the number one arrest I would like to see, starting with the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation, the Bushes, and many more, all of their administrations, and a lot of corporate people I would like to see held accountable as well. But I'm always remiss in Steve when thanking the people that help us with this program. I want to send a big shout out to Nicole Kidman. Thank you for listening to our show. And new listeners, Jeb and Jessica Robertson from the Duck Commander, Big Whoop Magazine, Southeast Asian News, and our new sponsor, Southwest Backpacker. Did I forget someone there, Steve?
I think you forgot to say thanks to MW. He's our regular contributor in the room. He keeps the morale up, and he keeps the ammo clean. What's better still, he's got some great beef jerky and dehydrated foods, enough for 1 year. But don't try and share it with him. He's not the kind of guy that shares his stash of food. But one thing that I will share, and that is information. We have a lot of information coming out about the cyclone that hit Queensland earlier, just about a month ago. I remember we were watching that live on the massive supercomputer, and of course, Earthplay, you saw that massive cyclone hit Queensland, and of course we were watching it live on the webcam. That's the sort of thing we can do these days. We've just been told MW doesn't share his women, so if we do find an apocalyptic scenario, make sure you bring your own women, because Earthplay, and MW has got his own. I wanted to share this story about the retailers that are gouging people. This company, Target Supermarket, were charging $79 for a case of water during the cyclone. How do you feel about this happening? I mean, Earthplay, this is bound to happen. For a case of water that usually goes for about $15, they charge $72 at a time when people really, really need it. Is this the sort of thing that's going to happen? If there is a major disaster, are we going to see people resorting to this kind of behavior, and indeed companies and corporations? Well, it's free enterprise. Yeah, it's supply and demand. Isn't that just rude? It goes against humanity, but still, everyone wants to make a buck.
Yeah, that's profiteering, maybe even racketeering. I'm not sure. To me, it's immoral and inhumane how recognized retail chain like Target could do and get away with something like that in a democratic society is beyond me. If they tried that to somebody in New Mexico or any real men in rural America, there'd be a lot of real men sitting in jail tonight. So, yeah, hello, MW. Welcome to the room. There are a lot of news stories here, Steve. I also have one here of a very large asteroid or a bolide that will pass within 4 lunar distances of the Earth, one of the big boys, on April the 19th. So that we also have reports, and it's still progressing, and we're still getting the news today about these background cosmic waves that are sweeping over the Earth. And I wanted to refresh that. Fukushima is not going away, folks. It's never going away. The situation there is deteriorating by the day, and the sieverts are going up. They've reached over 5,000, which most radiation detection equipment on the Earth doesn't even register anything above that. So we have no idea of the true toxicity. What else did I have on my list here? I still have my media rant here. I still would like to ask for the chat participation or any callers that want to participate or chime in on this, or the Constitution-free zones. I don't think I'm talked out on this one, Steve. The Fourth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution protects Americans from random and arbitrary stops and seizures. And I don't see this stuff being curtailed one bit, and especially under a Donald Trump administration who is doubling down on our police department and enforcing laws and growing law enforcement. They've already become military institutions, militarized weapons, militarized vehicles, militarized tactics. It's getting out of hand. We have a lot of natural disasters that are now starting to occur. And Steve, whatever happened to Jade Helm? Jade Helm 15 or 17, it's 17 now, is very much active as the day we started talking about it 2 years ago. The earthquakes and the volcanic activity, especially in Kamakacha, that one of the 6 largest volcanoes on the entire Ring of Fire, explosively erupting into its full potential, which is something that has not been happening in this decade, like Mount Marapi, the Inky Krakatau, the son of Mount Krakatau, not erupting to their full potentials, which, when they erupted their full potentials, they shut down air traffic in large portions of the world, and we're maybe within days of having these alerts over the northern U.S. Area from ash from these volcanoes. And it's not just one. There's at least a dozen erupting from the Aleutian Islands across Russia and Japan. So a lot of news out there, Steve.
One thing we haven't even got into yet, Earthplay, and I'm sure we will, is the mass amounts of animal deaths and poison of our planet that has been going on. We'll certainly get to that. I've still got a couple more stories from Cyclone Debbie, talking about the huge cyclone that hit Australia, or hit Queensland just recently. There was a massive flood warning for the city of Brisbane, and they were warning people to get out of the city, evacuate the city of Brisbane because of the flooding, because of the cyclone that was hitting the coast. Well, guess what? One woman did that. She ran for her life during the cyclone with a massive deluge, and she came back to her car to find a fucking parking fine in the middle of a cyclone. When the city gets told to evacuate, she leaves her car and she comes back to find a fucking parking fine. Now, we think Target is bad by gouging customers. How about the government gouging the people who are suffering through a fucking cyclone? Through a fucking cyclone. And you come back to find a parking ticket? If that's not bad enough, if that's not bad, Target and the local council and all these pricks trying to fuck people over who are going through natural disasters, there's also the looters who are walking around house to house looking what they can grab out of people's houses. Well, it's no wonder they took the fucking guns off Australians. Because if we still had guns, this shit would not be happening. This shit would not be happening if Australians still had guns.
I think you should work together and get your guns back, Steve, is what I think. Here in America, that's probably the only thing preventing absolute tyranny over the public, is how many people are willing to stand up for their constitutional rights. And in the last few months, I think people have been feeling that more than ever under Donald Trump. They feel a little bit more secure in their personal belongings, in their rights, in the Constitution. Because when Donald Trump talks about the Constitution, he doesn't talk about it in the same way as Bush or Clinton or Obama, who would refer to it as just a goddamn piece of paper. I'm not completely in Trump's corner, but let's acknowledge the good that he is doing. Mass animal deaths. Just today, 100 tons of fish have suddenly died in a fish farm in South Sumatra, Indonesia. Also today, in the United States of America, Atlanta, Georgia, a little shout out to those folks down there. Thousands of birds falling out of the sky, dying dead. How about that? And one thing that has gone under the news radar, and it is our unfortunate responsibility to have to report this to you because nobody else will. These people who call themselves the mainstream media, official news resources for those interested in accurate information, tune in to ABC, NBC, and CBS. Well, you're not going to hear about the swine flu epidemic that has broken out worldwide. 18,000 birds have been killed due to avian flu in the very same place that we're talking about, Atlanta, Georgia. How about that? And it's not the only incidents. This is going on in Kentucky and in Tennessee, where tens of thousands of birds are being put down for swine flu. Or excuse me, did I say swine flu? Avian flu. I meant to say avian flu, which is becoming a world epidemic. It's present in South America, Central America, North America, Europe, Asia, and in the Philippines. I don't know about Australia. I have not read about these. But you can look at all the mass animal deaths on a day-to-day basis, and they're all independently resourced and linked to the original story at endtimesprophecy.org. endtimesprophecy.org. I don't advocate any religions or any spiritualities, but I always recognize good and valid reporting, Steve.
Man, that is just so full of bad news. Everything you've told me tonight is bad news. You're full of fear porn, man. That's what they're going to say. They're going to say doom and gloom earthplay. Shit, man, haven't you got any good news? Hit me with some good news. Is there any good news this week, Earthplay?
The good news is that this is vetted, verifiable, real news. It's what's going on in your community, in your environment, in your political and economic world, and nobody's telling you about it. You need to be able to see these brick walls and these hurdles that are being put up before you by your governments, by the media, and by the real world. I mean, if you're oblivious to what's going on and you're caught off guard, you start saying, well, why didn't anybody tell us? Well, we are telling you. This is real, vetted news. They say that the alternative news sources that we are spreading inaccurate information, that we're lying to people, that it's fear porn. It doesn't scare me one bit, Steve. I'm not afraid of these things. But if it frightens people, I'm glad. If it shocks them into some awareness of what's going on, and then maybe they'll uncover the next layer and the next layer, and they'll see that, well, maybe this isn't just a one-time thing or just one of these seasonal transitions where, herds and animals die, frequently. No, this is much worse than that. And when they realize that, maybe they'll understand about Fukushima. They'll understand about Chernobyl or the Deepwater Horizon and the Gulf accident and other atrocities, nuclear accidents and toxicities in their environment that their children will inherit. And we have no solutions for any of these things. We're just kicking the can down the road to our grandchildren, and that's not fair at all. So fear porn? No, it's responsibility, Steve, is what it is. If it scares people, I apologize, and that is not our intention. Our intention here is to keep you informed as to what is going around you that is not being reported by the media or your government representatives. As a matter of fact, they would just like to shut us up, Steve.
Yeah, and I do agree with that, and that's what it basically said in the email from Michael Chertoff. Apparently, Homeland Security are getting a little bit concerned about what we've been talking about. But that's your best news. Your best good news is that we have vetted information. Well, I can do one better than that. Here's a good news story that I find is actually going to help people, hopefully. Fingers crossed. They've actually made a new type of graphene material that can filter seawater and turn it into drinkable water cheaply and easily. The new scientists have found this new type of water desalinization that basically does it in real time. So this is actually going to change the whole water wars that they're talking about, the scarcity of fresh drinking water. My God. Well, there's enough ocean to go around for the world, I guess. So we can use that for places where they don't have desalinization programs, where we can actually start to irrigate parts of the earth that needs irrigation. I find this as a positive. This is certainly a positive. But whether or not the technology gets down to grass value, to grassroots, to people who need it in their homes, so they can filter their drinkable rainwater. I mean, I would love to see every house have one of these and not have to rely on government water systems. Imagine that. If we had our own system of getting water so we didn't have to rely on government systems of water or electricity or gas or any of this. That would be the most fantastic thing of all, to be self-sufficient to the point that you have your own water source or own water that you can easily and readily have it available. That to me is a good news story, Earthplay.
Yeah, Steve, you're probably going to kick me in the butt for this one, but I think that story was inspirational, and I hope that it comes to pass. But it reminds me of another really good story when they said that nuclear energy would be so cheap we're going to have congressional hearings to figure out a way to charge people because it would be so cheap. Well, we know how that turned out, don't we? And then when they came out and said congressional hearings for Monsanto's that they were going to feed the world another, just visionary program. Well, did they do that? No. They actually strangled the world food market. So I hope, Steve, I don't want to be a bummer here, but I hope that this comes to fruition. Now, look, we do encourage people to come up to the microphone in our chat room and on our auditorium here at paltalk.com. And we have such a person on the mic right now, or in line for the mic. I'm not going to guarantee that you're going to make it on the show or that we're not going to edit you out, but Patches, I'm going to give you the mic.
I just wanted to say his bad news may be good news. What he's trying to do is look at the shit that's going on.
Okay, Patches, okay for that. Yeah, it was like he was in an echo chamber or a fallout shelter. Knowing Patches, that's exactly where he was in a fallout shelter. Thank you for that, Patches. Yes, I can see the good things, the good side in things. But usually not when it concerns the news, the government, the media, or any corporations. I'm sorry, Steve, just call me naive, but I don't trust anything that they tell me anymore. I would like to think that they're going to desalinate seawater and distribute it freely around the world. To anybody who wants to drink a water, here you go. But that's not how our corporations work. So we're getting very close to the end of the show. Do we have anyone else, any brave souls in our whole chat auditorium that would like to come up to the mic? We're going to give you a chance. Come on up there. Get your hand up there. And over to you, Steve.
Well, you're quite right there, Earthplay. I felt the same kind of excitement when I read or when I first learnt about Stanley Myers and the water-powered car. He's water-powered dune buggy that could go from Chicago to Los Angeles on 5 gallons of water. That, to me, excited me. It was like, wow, we've got some real earth-changing technology right here. But of course, nothing ever happened of it. We never ever saw Stanley Meyer's invention ever make it to the public, and that may well happen with this kind of technology as well. I know your cynicism says to you that corporations will go for the profit. Why would they give away free water when they can bottle it and sell it at 400% markup? That's just exactly what they do. So I agree with you there. It's more than likely that corporations will take this away from the people and steal this technology like they've done with every bit of technology that has ever had any potential to change the world or to make the place a better place without the need for raping the resources of the earth for profit. But you're right, that's the kind of world we live in, that's the kind of society that they've created. They've manufactured this type of society so that nothing like this can ever work or ever get accomplished. I see you've got your hand up there, MW. Go ahead, sir. Mic is yours in 3, 2, and 1.
My question is, when do all the traitors get hung?
When are all these traitors going to be hung? Well, in America, probably never. These people have presidential executive privilege, and it follows them into their retirement. So even though there are some scandals here that need to be investigated legitimately, what's going on with Susan Rice and our intelligence agencies, bugging a presidential candidate, making up stories of their association to Russia, I don't think anybody but the little guy is ever going to fall on this.
Yes, sir. Me personally, I think that there will be a time, because it only takes one weak link in a chain for that chain to be broken, and that's how this is. It only takes one weak card in a house of cards for the whole thing to come down. It only takes one singing stool pigeon to sing sweetly and loudly for all the birds.
I don't think, Steve. I'm sorry. I don't. We started this show by telling people that this is an engineered society, and we were born and raised into this society. I don't think that if 15 people, 100 people go to prison, that we're going to break any links in this chain. We know that it goes much higher, Steve. You and I both know that this goes much, much, much higher than just these puppets up here on a stage.
Sure, but I'm a HTML programmer. Now, I know coding, okay? And no matter how much programming you do, how much coding you do, you're always going to have glitches. And that's what they haven't worked out. They haven't worked out that in their program, in their programming, in their manufacture of the people, they have made fucking glitches. And the glitches that they've made, they're not small. They're not little tiny glitches that can be covered up with a bit of patching. I'm talking about glitches where they fucked up completely.
Like a Y2K, you could walk through it.
I mean, like 9/11. How sloppy was 9/11? That woke a lot of people up. Normal people who would never question shit suddenly saw that and went, "Wow, okay, something's going on."
Right. Okay. You have turned a skeptic into, well, maybe. How's that for you, Steve? I don't think the programming is going to be broken at this point. The world bankers and the elite and what we would call the deep government in the states and in the governments have contingency plans for everything. And I think that when it comes down to it, they're going to have martial law and crackdowns. And I think that is still in our future. So I don't think they're going to allow us to break the molding or the link.
While people like Robert Kagan still live and breathe, while people like Zbigniew Brzezinski still live and breathe, Henry Kissinger still live and breathe, while scumbags like this are still alive, and Dick Cheney, there are always a possibility that America could get attacked again. Fake attacked, I'm talking about. Yes, there were terrorists involved in 9/11, but most of the terrorists wore business suits. Most of the terrorists spoke with an Israeli accent, and most of the terrorists were actually in Congress at the time. So the curious thing is, we're not going to see any change while the terrorists are running the show, because they're basically, the insane ones are in charge of the asylum right now. That's really how it is. That's basically the basic premise of how it is. The crazy ones are running the asylums. So we're not going to see any changes. We're not going to see any better doctors or better procedures. We are going to see more crazy people. That's the way I see it. But I do still have hope that things will change, that there will be a weak link somewhere that breaks this chain of silence that exposes this shit. There has to be. You can't go on forever and bullshitting to people, and the lie just compacts itself and gets bigger and bigger. What happens there? You start to build a bullshit mountain or a bullshit tower. And we all know what happens with bullshit towers. They come down, and usually all over the one who made it. Go ahead, Earthplay, for one last final thing for episode 7. It's been fantastic. Your mic, sir.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Nephilim, that we're sadly out of time for another episode of EarthChangesRadio.com. And I want to thank everybody once again, the people that help us in the background, Carol, our announcer, our sponsors at Big Whoop Magazine and Southeast Asian News, who update and keep our fund our website. Thank you so much, Southwest Backpacker, and all the participants in our chat room. That's it for me tonight, Steve. Thank you, everyone.
You've been listening to Earth Changes Radio with your hosts, Rick Chicago and Steve Johnson, coming to you live and direct across the planet and across the world in real time. We'll be back next week, next Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, on the Terraforming Earth Network. Thanks very much for listening. Take care. God bless, and bye for now.
That means we're not going to see it coming. That's what we're supposed to expect. That's why we use the Earth Changes. Those are the bangs.
Ugh, I'm too tired to do that right now, man. How you doing? What's new with you?
Mr. Nephilim, sir, I was taking the mickey at everyone's expense, but I will say it again just for that.
Hi, I'm Rachel Hunter, and you're listening to Earth Changes Radio on the Terraforming Earth Network.
Hi, I'm Charlie Brown, and for Snoopy's sake, listen to Earth Changes Radio. So much better than sticking your tail in a light socket. Listen to Earth Changes Radio.
And a lot of people do get programmed by the things that they see and the things that they hear and the things that they learn about. But some people, it is not that's not susceptible to them. Some people, this programming doesn't work on them. And it is great to see that everyone who I've come into contact with through the years in the Earth Changes Radio Show, in the Ancient Observatory Room, most of the people I have come across, in fact, nearly all of them, have been awakened people who have been onto it, who know what time it is, know what day it is, and they too themselves are a hemorrhoid on the ass of the CIA, and I salute that. I salute those people who stand up against all enemies, both foreign and domestic, and to make sure that their hemorrhoids flare up every time that they sit down on their ass to do more trolling. Don't you agree with that, Mr. Earthplay?
Okay, I'll go with that, Steve. Okay, you and I are probably the most deplorable and unredeemables online. Yeah, we were getting an echo there. Steve and I are probably two of the most deplorable and unredeemables online, as defined by the media and by our politicians. But I want to make a tie between these 3, 4, 5, 6.
Welcome to Earth Changes Radio, Episode 7. We are a manufactured society. From birth to death, we are manipulated, both overtly and covertly. And now, the two hosts that have been voted the biggest pain in the ass by the CIA, here they are, Rick Chicago and Steve Johnson on the Terraforming Earth Radio Network.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Carol. Appreciate it. Welcome to the show, friends, foes, and assorted others. This is the Earth Changes radio program, and I have no idea where my show notes are. But welcome. Great to have you here. I'd like to say hello. This is something we don't usually do, but I'd like to say hello to the people in the chat room tonight in our virtual auditorium at paltalk.com. Paltalk.com, it's free, it's easy. Just pick yourself a sign name. Find us in the government section in the Ancient Observatory or on Tuesday night, every Tuesday night when we do the Earth Changes radio program in the Earth Changes radio program auditorium. With our 7, 8-letter agencies and the media. And I run into this phenomena all over the internet, and especially on Paltalk where we are. So we have kind of a protected structure here in our chat auditorium. But it seems like we're drowning in a sea of information. But the truth of the matter is we're starved for any kind of real knowledge. And that's kind of the programming here. The lies are kind of a betrayal of the people. It's and a healthy distrust of the media, I think, is essential, because most people believe that the most dangerous weapon is a gun. I would tell you that it's a media that is controlled by the government, that is owned by just a handful of individuals that are no longer news and reporting agencies, but entertainment media groups. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight was the lack of coverage of positive things that are going on with Donald Trump, the lack of coverage of the revelations of Susan Rice and the Obama administration, who were spying on the Trump administration and releasing transcripts of their phone conversation.
You know, Mr. Rick, after our last audio that we had, our last radio show, episode 6 last week with the Southwest Backpacker Matt, I had a call from the CIA that actually called me up and said, Steve, tone it down a bit. You're flaring up our hemorrhoids. But I was like, well, you know, you need to grow a pair. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah, we're taking on the CIA, fuckers. No, they didn't really call me. But if they could, if they would, if they had the balls to call me, I'm sure that's exactly what we would hear from the agencies, the alphabet agencies, that have got nothing better to do than sit on their ass and listen to people talk online. I mean, gosh, really? Isn't that what they pay, like, trolls to do? Isn't that what they're doing? They're paid trolls? Well, in fact, today's show is episode 7. We're talking about we are a programmed and manufactured society from the minute we're born to the minute we grow up to the moment that we die. We are programmed, we are manufactured, we are set in our ways to certain programming standards that they are doing to us. And they're doing it subtly, covertly, and overtly. A lot of the stuff the programming, it seems to sink in with a lot of people.
Chat audience, we have Mindy's mom on duty tonight as an admin, Butta Fox. MW is here. Our good friend Susan. Texamundo is here. Orangutan is here. Ellie Survivor, hello. Hi, CJ. Rose is here. Love is Light, another one of our admins on duty. Yami is here tonight. Ruby Today on duty. Little John, also on duty. Bio is here. Ghost, Vectorman, and Patches. So if you're listening to this on an audio or watching the video on YouTube, you too can be part of our live program every Tuesday night on Pal Talk. And tonight we have kind of a program that might get us in trouble, so we're going to have to go with our disclaimer once again here, Steve. If you're suffering from mental illness and or depression, please be advised. Well, the only thing we can advise is that you can slap a little bit of water on your face and find a comfortable chair, because tonight's information could be considered disturbing by very many people, like the Democratic Party, the Independent Party, the media, and so on. Hi, Steve.